All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sarah Sasaki. I am an internship and employment specialist here at the Career Development Center. And today I'm going to be presenting on how you can best prep for the Engineering and Technology Career Fair. And so, with that, we can go ahead and get started here. Okay. All right, so firstly, if you are here for a class assignment, you are required to take a picture of your handwritten or typed notes with today's date, 9/12/24, and you'll email them to cdc.events@csulb.edu. And in the subject line, you can put down class assignment, prepare engineering fair workshop. And in the email, also make sure to please include your name, ID number, class name, and instructor name as well. And so I'll leave that up just for a moment in case anyone needs it. But again, we will be sending the slides after the presentation. Okay, all right. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. And so for guidelines for today, and so if you do have questions, so you can message me or you can also send them into the Q&A tool as well. And the presentation slides will be emailed after. And for the recording, and so we'll be uploading it onto our YouTube channel. And so if you go to YouTube and if you type in CSU will be Career Center, then you'll be able to find it there. But again, the slides, they'll be emailed out and the recording you can access on our YouTube. And so with that, so as questions do come in, we do have a lot of slides to go through for today. So they most likely will be answered at the end of the presentation, just to make sure we have enough time for all of the content. And so with that, we can get started. All right, and so the Engineering and Technology Job and Internship Fair is going to be next Wednesday, September 18th from 12 to 4 p.m. And so again, this career fair, it's targeted towards bringing talented CSULB students together with employers who are recruiting for full-time, part-time internship opportunities, across all majors. But again, for this job fair, we do have more of that engineering focus. But again, students, all students are able to attend the job fair. All right, and so, just to kind of take us back to last year's job fair from 2023 for the engineering job fair. And so I just wanted to kind of show a few pictures of what the vibe feels like, of what it's like to be there, on the day of the job fair. And so again, you're going to be networking with a lot of employers. There's going to be a lot of students, just around you there. You're going to be able to see, all of the employers' different setups, their tables and signs. And you'll also see of course, a lot of students with, resumes, with the different materials, around different employers, wanting to learn more. And, it's up to the employer how they want to, interact with the students. And so, some employers, they're going to kind of, have a group all together. Some want to go through students one by one. And so, it could vary there. And, again, the job fair, there is a lot going on, but it is, I feel like a great event as well, just to, at the same time, like enjoy yourself, get to meet new people, get to learn more about different companies. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show those, snapshots there. And so, since we were just looking at pictures of the 2023 job fair, I did want to show some data from last year's job fair as well. And so these results are from a survey that we provided to employers, again, just to help us with providing insights to all of you, for students. And so, what are the top 3 skills that you look for in candidates? And so the employers from last year, they let us know that they were problem solving was number 1, and then verbal communication, and then analytical quantitative skills, initiative, and teamwork. And then for 4 and 5, we had detail-oriented and work ethic. And so, again, when we're looking at, these top 3 skills that we have here, we recently did have a internship event, literally this past week, where we did have engineering employers from different companies visit us and talk to students. And these are also the skills that they emphasize, that they prioritize as well here. And so, when we're looking at, problem solving, are you able to, kind of bring in those like critical analysis skills here? Communication, that's super important. Are you able to communicate with your team, with your project lead? And then we also have for the three skills here, they were all kind of ranked, all at number three there. And so, again, definitely when we're looking at teamwork, how we're able to collaborate there. And then let's see. So for the question in the chat, so the class assignment is not required. It's only if this was an assignment for one of your classes that they're asking you to attend a workshop. All right. And so just like in keeping those skills in mind when you're working on your resume, when you are talking to the employers as well. And so when we look at the next question, what are your most effective methods for recruitment of university hires? And so their top three rankings were job fairs. And so I really, really recommend, if you're able to come out to our job fair next week and then intern to direct hire. So this basically means that you started off as an intern and then from there you were, directly hired into the company afterwards into, maybe a more like full-time position. And then information sessions, which our center does host with different employers. And then for 4 and 5, we have job postings and we have employee referrals and on-campus interviews. And so again, when we look at these top three methods, for job fairs, again, I like to think of it as you're almost having like quick mini interviews with a lot of employers all at once. There's not really a need, like you don't have to like apply to go to the job fair. You can just, show up, with your resume, all dressed up. And again, you get to have that direct contact there. And so I really do feel like, yeah, the job fairs on the survey, that definitely stood out the most with the most employers saying that this was the most effective for them for recruiting, college students for their companies there. And then again, for intern direct hire. So again, hopefully the ideal is you meet an employer at a job fair, you follow up with them, whether it's applying online, get accepted as an intern. And if you do a great job and you really enjoy, the work you're doing, you like the company, and they have a position, then hopefully that direct hire opportunity comes up. And then information sessions, these are basically events where, employer representatives visit and they're able to just talk more about the company in depth. And they can also, answer questions as well too. And so, again, they have, again, that space as well for that. And so again, yeah, just to keep these in mind, for, how, employers are commonly recruiting there. And so for the number of postings, from last year's job fair, and so, again, number one, I would say the most number that we had were for full-time positions, but then we also did have, paid internships coming in at number two. And then we also did have, part-time off-campus, co-op, and seasonal positions coming in at number three there. And so again, for the most part, we are going to be looking at, like a lot of those like full-time positions and the internships as well, full-time, especially for, soon-to-be grads. And then, for paid internships, again, I know a lot of, employers, they have different preferences. Some, like to recruit more like your junior year when you've had more experiences, and some are more open with, like, oh, we're still open to like first years and second years. It just depends on what the company is looking for. All right. And so with that, we're going to start off with our first segment. And so before the job fair. And so before the job fair, how can we be prepping for this? And so, firstly, let's have you log into your single sign-on, which is where you find like, your Canvas, your MyCSULB, and you're gonna click on that career link chiclet. And so in this bottom right-hand corner here. And so you're gonna wanna make sure to RSVP for the event. And I recommend, RSVPing, as early as you're able to. And, in case you're not able to make it any longer, then you could always, just cancel your RSVP then in CareerLink. And so you'll start off here. And then you're going to see, the homepage for CareerLink. You're going to go to the top where events are. You're going to click on that. And then you're going to click on type off to the left here. And that way you can filter out the events to only show the job fairs. And you can click on job fairs here. And then you can click apply. And then after that, it would pull up, right below here, the engineering technology job and internship fair. You would click on that. And then from here, you'll see the job fair event page pull up. You'll click on attend, to RSVP. Clicking on attend is your RSVP, and you'll also receive an email confirmation that says that you've RSVP'd. And so just make sure to have that email ready on your phone during check-in, just so we can verify that you have RSVP'd. Um, and so, yeah, again, it just makes the process faster for us as well there too. But again, when you look at this, job fair page, you're going to see, again, the overview, we have 50 employers attending, and you'll also see categories to click on for employers, to look at the employers as well as jobs to see what specific jobs, these employers are hiring for. Okay, and so for example, when I click on employers, so we can add on different filters here actually. And so, we can do it for position types, for organization industry, also, again, looking at what work authorizations, that, they're accepting, for, the positions there. And then you could put on whatever filters and click apply. And now to show examples of what, you know, these, like position types, organization industries look like. I'm going to go to the next slide here. And so again, when we look at, those search filters, like for position types, it's going to pull up, you can choose like internship, part-time, full-time. You're going to see organization industry. You can choose whether it's like specifically for like construction or for shipping. And then you can do work authorization, whether it's U.S. citizen or if you're on, an F1 visa as a full-time student, or if you're on a J1 visa as more of, kind of like, cultural, exchange, study abroad there. And so again, these are just some examples at the top here of some of the employers that we do have coming. And again, you can see that full list of the employers, on CareerLink there. And we also will have a full list of all the companies, we'll have signs up at the job fair that you can physically look at. And we also provide each student with a handout that also does have the map of the job fair, as well as the full list of all the companies that are attending there too. And then, you can look at the different job postings that, the employers who are coming to the job fair are currently hiring for. And there'll also be a star symbol next to employers that you can just star them just so you have that for your personal reference, again, like which companies, you want to make sure that you do visit on the day of the fair there. All right, and so again, why I really emphasize RSVPing early is, for RSVP, this does provide you with early entry into the job fair. And, because you're arriving early, you can also, get access to the LinkedIn photo booth where picture here, you can, again, just take like a nice new headshot for your, LinkedIn profile, for your email, for like your Gmail picture. And so I really do recommend RSVPing because we do have, two different lines. We'll have like an RSVP line and then a line for students who did not RSVP. And so, of course, RSVP line, they would be let in first into the job fair or let in first and earlier too. Let's see. Okay. All right, and so how to succeed at the job fair. And so I'm going to be covering these different areas today. And so we have setting goals, understanding the industry, constructing a strategy, creating your elevator pitch, exercising your communication skills, examining and revising your resume, and dressing for success. And so I feel like these are all key areas for being able to just, again, make the most out of your time at the job fair there and to give you the best chance at getting, those jobs or internships. Okay, firstly, for setting goals. And so, what do you want to accomplish here? Everyone has different goals. If you're just like, I just want to check out a job fair just to see what it's like, please feel free to. If you're like, I'm not really looking for a job right now, but I want to practice. I just want to practice networking and talking to employers and just kind of seeing who's hiring right now. You could do that too. I do want to say, I know there's a large number of students who they want to be able to receive more information about, yeah, full-time jobs, paid internships there. And so again, just thinking about that for yourself, for your goals. And then also looking at what industries interest you. So I know with engineering, I know we have different, fields within it. And so whether it's, again, like specifically, chemical engineering only, or, I'm doing, like civil engineering or electrical, it varies there. And again, looking at what companies interest you, which ones, are you thinking about? I really want to talk to the most. They've always been top of my list, or I really like the work that they do. I looked at their website and this is a company that I think I would be, well suited for. And so, as we're doing a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking there, definitely creating that action plan. And so, again, with that action plan, which companies are your first priority and second priority? And so to kind of break that down, first priority, like these are like your top companies. These are the ones that you are most excited to talk to and want to talk to the most. Second priority, again, you could have some interest in them, but again, it's not as high as first priority there. And so, some different approaches that you could have with your action plan is you could start off with talking to the second priority companies on your list as a way to almost kind of like, kind of like warm up and, kind of like practice to kind of get into the zone. Or you could start off with your first priority because, the job fair, it's a long event. It is going to be at times a lot of waiting, in lines. And so if you start with your first priority, you tend to have more energy at the beginning of the day. And that would also likely ensure that you do have time to talk to the employers versus, again, if you talk to them closer to the end of the job fair and there's already a big queue. And so there's different ways to approach it, with your action plan here. And so now when we're looking at your action plan, and so this is just an example, you can create a chart for yourself, just to kind of, have a reference. I think it's always best to create this before the job fair because on the day of, there's going to be a lot going on, there's a lot of table numbers. Oh, which one was like so and so? Oh, I don't know where they are. And so I think it's just nice to be able to, again, put down which employers you're looking at. And then once you're given that handout of, the map and the tables where the employers are at, you already know which companies you want to like go to first. All right. And so we're understanding the industry. So I think it's so important to research the employers. I feel like what I've seen at times, at job fairs is students, it's good to ask questions, but sometimes asking, a lot of like, kind of like fundamental questions about like, oh, like, like, so like, what is this company about? Like, what does this do? Especially if this is a company that is at the top of your list, you want to make sure that you do that research beforehand. And so, again, researching employers, you can use different platforms. You can use CareerLink. Again, the platform we just saw from your single sign-on. And there's also a platform called Career Shift, which I'll show how to get to, which would be under the resources tab on CareerLink. You can look at the company website. You can look at Glassdoor, LinkedIn, other, job and career-based websites. And, I think it's really important as you're researching, this helps you. This helps you understand what are these companies looking for, whether it's in terms of like your soft skills or like your personality-based skills, shared values, what is their mission statement about? And also like, oh, for example, like we're, strictly looking for entry-level hires here. And so when we're looking at doing that company research. And so for company websites, so again, the quickest way to find a company website, again, you could do like a Google search, or, again, when you look on CareerLink on the job fair event page, when you look at that list of employers. And so some will have website URLs there, some might not. And so you can decide, which way you want to start looking for it first. And so I think it's really great to go to their websites. Again, just looking at, for example, here, you can look at projects, news, P2S, looking at their culture. And so again, you want to make sure that you stand out the most here when you talk to the employers. You want to show them, I know who you are. I know what work you do. This is what I can bring to you and your services here. And you can also look at if the companies do have social media. You can look at their news articles as well. And so, yeah, just to really get a very holistic view about these companies here. And so another part of industry research, so you can look at Career Shift. So Career Shift, this is a job search and career management tool. And so when you go onto your CareerLink page, and so you'll go to that top, black, kind of like part here, and you'll click on resources and you'll just scroll down. You'll see Career Shift and you'll go ahead and click on that. If it is your first time using CareerShift, then you will have to register. It's free to do, and you would just make sure to use your student email when you are registering. All right, and so once you've registered, once you're in Career Shift, and so what's really nice about Career Shift is besides looking up, jobs, you can also look up companies. You can look up company information. And so when this is, the home page of Career Shift, you're going to click on companies and then search. And then from there, you can type in company name directly into this box near this upper right-hand corner here. You'll press search, and then you'll see the companies that are pulling up here. And so, for example, I found the company, Clark Construction. I'll click on the website there. It'll take me to the next page. And from here, it's giving, some quick, insights about, like revenue, number of employees. I see some social media. I see a quick description here. And then I can also see like company contacts, company jobs. And so I think this is another good resource just to be able to look up, more information about companies too. And so that'll be Career Shift here. And then we have Glassdoor as well. So Glassdoor, and so again, very similarly, you can look up jobs here as well. You can also look up, like salaries too, but you can also look at that company information. And so you'll just Google Glassdoor, go to the website, and to be able to navigate Glassdoor, it does make you log in. But again, it's very quick and it's free to make an account with Glassdoor. And I have an account with Glassdoor. And so once you've logged in, you can click on companies at the top here. You'll see in this bottom part, have an employer in mind. I can type in the company name and then, so for example, I think I typed in, San Diego Gas and Electric. I press search and it takes me to, this website or this part of the website where there's a lot of information here. I can see, reviews from past employees, for example. I can see, people who provided information about benefits, about salaries, about interviews, about jobs as well. And so I feel like it's helpful to, again, get as good an idea of a company as you can, because again, just as much as, you're trying to learn, the company's trying to learn about you, you really want to learn about them too, to see like, is this a good fit? Because, I think what you read online, it could be great, but then once you, talk it out with them, it's like, oh, you know what, this is different from what I thought here, or it could be vice versa as well. And so again, just another good resource there. And so we also have CareerLink. And so this is the first platform we were on from your single sign-on. And so CareerLink, you can look up, position descriptions and keywords, again, just to help you when you're, enhancing your resume, but also when you're talking to the employers too. And so when you go back to that job fair event page, you'll see at the top here, overview employers and jobs. You'll click on employers, and then I clicked on, ACO engineered systems. I'll click on that. It's going to take me to their overview page. And so I'll see the description, their website, and I also see view all jobs. And so when I click on view all jobs, it's going to take me to the list of positions that they had. And I believe ACO is hiring for one position from what I saw in CareerLink. And so you can click on that position. You can look at the job description here. And so, this gives you, I feel like, a nice, kind of way to prep early where you're able to, look up, just again, what kind of duties would I be doing in that kind of job? Like, what are they looking for in that position? What can I highlight about myself to show that I am very aligned with this, with my experiences and my skill set and my education? And so from here, I know it can be a lot of, text sometimes for descriptions where you're like, oh, wow, there's so much information. This is great, but, I really want to narrow in those keywords there. And so, again, you could do a quick scan for looking for keywords. Like, for example, I'm seeing like, conceptual design, I'm seeing project planning, I'm seeing compliance, documentation, I'm seeing a lot of analysis. And so you can do a quick scan like that. But also what you can do is with this job description, if I copy that, I can paste it into this resource, which is called freewordcloudgenerator.com. And what this does is for whatever text I give it, it's going to pull out the words that are coming up the most often, from that description there to give you a quick way of seeing what are the top, keywords that are popping up. And so for this tool, I would just literally paste in the description. I would just hit enter after that. And then from here, it's going to show me what's coming up the most often. So like what I was saying before, the analysis, conceptual, design, I'm seeing a lot of energy, plumbing, but also I'm seeing, some other, words coming up too. And the smaller ones have come up still, but less often. And so I think this is a really good resource, to keep in mind here, as you're looking at those different job descriptions. And so now when we're looking at creating your elevator pitch, and so far, we've gone through, again, researching the industries, we've looked at, reviewing those position descriptions, getting those keywords, we went over check-in. And so with your elevator pitch, again, this is, again, how you're going to be kind of like introducing yourself, to these employers here. Again, this is like, you're kind of, this is the first impression I'm making here. And so with that, for an elevator pitch, I really do recommend having these components in it where we have your name, your major, class, year, quick intro about yourself. Again, what, is, your goal? Again, why are you visiting this table? And so if it is, you're seeking, a specific position with the company that you saw in their career link before, make sure to bring that up. If it's, oh, I just want to learn more about you, if you're, currently hiring right now. And so again, just making that clear. And then also discussing, what are some unique selling points about yourself? And so why are you qualified for the position? And so we don't want to just have it be general where, oh, it aligns with my major and I really like the work you do. And, those are valid points, but we want to be specific. We want you to stand out here. And so again, whether it's bringing up, relevant projects or internships or like, past and or current work experiences there. And then, discussing why you're interested in the company. And so, again, we don't only want to talk about ourselves where like, I'm a chemical engineering major, I've done these internships, and I really want to apply for this. But it's like, why do you want to apply? And so, whether it's, what we saw in an earlier slide, looking at, the culture of a company, looking at their mission statement, looking at the projects that they're working on or they have completed already. And so again, bringing up points like that can be really helpful there. And then, also ending off with a relevant question. And so this is a nice way to, kind of keep that conversation going and moving on, versus just this is who I am and that's it. Again, just, we want to show more of the interest. This is who I am, and now this is a question that I have for you here. And so with that, and so, this is, a nice way to, start, mapping out, how to create that elevator pitch there. And so again, for example, what's my goal? My goal is a chemical engineering internship. How I qualified, what am I bringing? From my, classes, I've done labs, I've been able to, really learn more about thermodynamics. I've applied the first and second laws of it to different chemical processes. I have background knowledge on, the concepts of heat, work, and energy. And then we also look at some positions that you've had, as an ASI rep. I've developed communication, leadership skills, whether it was, during meetings or campus events and programming. And then, for in and out, I supported with quality control as a cook and, also made sure that I was being flexible in the workplace while I was rotating responsibilities as a cook and cashier. And so, again, we're seeing, some different areas. We're seeing, like, for this example, we're bringing in that kind of like educational background here. And then to have more, to really highlight more of the, chemical engineering, experiences. But then, for when we look at those like soft skills, like those personable attributes of like communication, flexibility, we're looking at positions that, this person has had before. And then why are you interested? And so we're honing in on because this company has had done or works on projects for pipelines, oil and gas, water and wastewater, liquid storage and distribution. And so what are my questions? And so, again, these are just some examples like, oh, this company has a training program. Can you share what the first year is like? Or how many employees successfully complete the program and begin, managing their own, stores or locations after the training program? Like, what are other career paths within the company besides the training program? And so, again, your questions will vary, but it's nice to have them prepared to, again, keep the flow of the conversation there going. And so I'm going to show two examples here of elevator pitches. And so, for this first one, hello, my name is Jane. We have name. I'm a junior at CSULB and I'm studying electrical engineering. Okay, we have your year. We also have your major. Great. I'm impressed with your company's commitment to develop future leaders in engineering through your leadership training program. So we're bringing up a point about the company. We know that they are supporting leadership development with this program. It shows you've done that research there. This is the passion I've come to develop during my time at Cal State Long Beach. Okay, we have a little bit more about yourself while you're interested. As a member of IEEE, I've developed communication leadership skills that I regularly apply in my engineering projects and part-time job. And so, okay, so we're highlighting some skills about yourself. It looks like you're talking about, like a student, organization. And we're also bringing up, okay, your academic projects, and you're also working right now as well. I'm an active member and I hope to run for office next semester. Okay, we're seeing initiative there. We're seeing again that leadership, value, core value for yourself coming out. I'm curious about any other details you can provide regarding the leadership training program. All right, and so again, we have a follow-up relevant question there. And so as I was going through it, keeping in mind, the different points that we really want the employer, to receive. Because again, an elevator pitch, it's, typically short. It's, usually around like 30 seconds to like a minute. And so it's important to be concise. And I know there's so much that we can talk about ourselves, but we want to make sure just to pull out a few key points here that will give you the best chance, at making that best impression there for the employer. And so this is another example. And so for here, hello, I'm Stephen Sanchez, a senior student construction management. Okay, so we have name, we have major, we have year. Perfect. With hands-on experience gained through my role as an intern at Buildtech Solutions over the past year. Okay, so we know that, you've had internship experience, again, recently. In this position, I've contributed to project planning and site coordination, successfully implementing process improvements that streamline workflow and enhance project efficiency. Okay, so we're really highlighting your planning experience and your coordination experience as well. And we also saw improvements that were made, through your work as well. And so my expertise in project scheduling, resource management, and safety compliance positions me to effectively support your team as a project coordinator. Okay, so we're also seeing some other skill areas here too. And I'm excited about the opportunity to bring my skills and dedication to your organization and contribute to successful project outcomes. And so for this example, so it's providing a lot of details about skill areas. And so I do want to say that you don't feel like you need to include this much. I just wanted to show an example of ways you can talk about that there. And also, from the previous example as well there. And so again, just some examples here for an elevator pitch. There's so many different ways that we can craft it with how you word or, phrase, certain things. Okay, and so now we are moving on to this next part. So please make sure to prepare your resume. Your resume ideally should be one page. At a job fair, it's just much easier to do versus having 2 pages there. One page, it makes it, quicker, to do a scan through as well. And again, your resume should be updated and organized, and it should be tailored to, the companies and the descriptions that you're applying to. And so I do get this question a lot, where should I make different versions of my resume? And for that, it is up to you. For example, if you're looking at two companies and their internships are very similar, you could use the same resume. But at the same time, I would make sure to keep in mind, is one company highlighting certain keywords that the other isn't? So for example, if one company, they want you to have a lot of like presentation experience because you're going to be working with clients, versus the other one is they just want to see a lot of teamwork skills. And so when we look at those differences, we do want to make sure to make those edits for our resume to bring out those skills more when you talk about your experiences and your bullet points. And so I do recommend making multiple copies of your resume. I would say even more than you originally planned, because for example, if you're like, I'm going to talk to 5 employers, I will bring 5 resumes. I would say, maybe bring, 10, because there's always a chance, you walk by a table, oh my gosh, I didn't know this company was going to be here. I'm going to talk to them. I have an extra resume here. Or even as you're walking around, even if it's a company that you've never heard about before that wasn't on your radar, but you do want to talk to them more, just to learn more about them, you have those extra copies there. That's what I recommend there. And then also make sure, I would recommend to bring, something to take notes on, a notebook. And so, again, when you're talking to employers, I do recommend to be taking down notes while you talk to them. So when I say that though, I don't recommend you looking down at your notebook the entire time and not making any eye contact at all. You want to still be engaged and respectful. And so, I think also taking notes shows you're very interested and you want to make sure that you're keeping track of everything. But it's like a fine balance of, again, kind of like, taking down some notes every so often, looking down, but also making sure you're keeping that eye contact and showing that engagement there. And so just being very careful with that. And so, again, for these notes, I think it's great because you're going to be talking to a lot of employers if that's your plan. And so, again, sometimes it's like, it's hard to keep track of things. And so this way you get to keep down those key points, such as, what did you bring up to this employer? Or, again, like how to follow up, like what instructions they gave you there. So yeah, I really recommend that there. And then I think it's really good to brainstorm questions for the company representatives. And so, I think it's nice to have a mix of like broad and specific questions, like from like, oh, what do you like most about your job as a broad question versus, and so I do see that this internship would be, during the, like summer during a summer break. And so, during that time, what will scheduling be like? Mix of broad and specific there. And so again, it just really shows that interest in the company there. And again, like what I said before, just as much as the employers, are almost in a way kind of like interviewing you, you're also, interviewing them. You want to see if this is a good fit for you. And I really do recommend, as a big point, please avoid talking about salary unless the employer brings it up on their end. Typically, you do want to wait until later in the interview process. And again, because again, this is like your very first meeting with them, most likely. And so you would typically want to wait, to bring up that topic, later on, if you do move forward in that application process, interview process. Okay, and so I know with the job there, you're gonna be juggling a lot, like shaking hands, like, oh, here are my resume copies. Oh, like, oh, I will take a brochure. So I think it's nice to have like a small bag and or folder with you, especially a folder to put down like handouts. Um, and, it's easier to navigate the job fair with your belongings that way. But again, I understand the job fair is on a weekday. You may have classes on the same day, going in and out between classes. And so it's okay if you do have your backpack. And so if you do want to store it somewhere, I do know that I believe the rec center does have, I think it does have like kind of like lockers you can store your things in. And then I think we still do have these like Luxor One lockers. Kind of like as you're walking up towards the library, in those kind of like middle, like kind of like almost like hallways that are outdoors. I think they're still here. But if not, it's okay to carry your backpack with you. For belongings, we can't store them on our end though, just because we do have so many students, it would be extremely difficult to keep track. And so you would have to hold on to your own belongings there. Okay, and so, when we are going back to, looking at, what kind of questions to ask, the employers. And so these are just some examples here. And so, when is the best time to apply for internships? In addition to those technical skills, what are some like character traits, soft skills that you're looking for? What's a typical day like for someone in the position that you're recruiting for? And so again, these are just some questions, that you can have prep, just in case. And so just some examples here. And so dressing for success. And so make sure to dress accordingly. So I would recommend, just, like kind of like conservative business attire, that's usually common. And I'll share some picture examples of what that looks like in the next few slides. And I do recommend not wearing things that could be distracting. So especially if it's like very like heavy perfume or cologne or like lots of jewelry. Again, we want to keep the focus, on you, on what experiences you're bringing versus like the employer kind of like being distracted by these, like other factors here. Um, and again, I do recommend avoiding anything that's too casual or revealing. And so again, I do understand that, you may be in between classes, and I know wearing like, a suit or wearing, like a dress or, a blouse and slacks, it could be warm, especially with the weather lately, which I think has been cooling down just a little bit. Um, and so I know what some students do is they'll bring a change of clothes with them, or, for example, if they may try to have that mix of like casual, and like business attire. So they may wear like black jeans and they might wear like a polo to kind of have like a good balance there. Um, but yeah, overall, I do recommend wearing business attire if you are able to. But again, it is understandable that, you're in between classes, having to wear that all day could be a lot there. And so this is an example of business casual. And so, again, for example, we have, like suit jackets or like a nice blazer. We have, kind of like button ups, and we have, like a blouse, for example. And then we have some, like slacks or like dress pants. And then we have like dress shoes or like comfortable pumps or like flats. And so these are just some examples here. Again, like there's, a lot of different outfits, a lot of different ways you could approach business casual there. Again, and then when we look at the next example, so this is like, more formal, we're looking at more of like those full suit looks. And I know with full suit looks, they typically have like the same color for like the suit jacket and your pants. Um, and again, we are seeing like, for example, like dress shoes or like pumps as well, like ballet flats. And so again, just wanted to give everyone, some ideas here of, how to approach the attire there. And if you do have questions about your outfit, you can always, visit us in drop-in advising, which, I will be bringing up at the end of the presentation. If you wanted to check in with someone about, does this look professional here? I'd recommend, you could even also try asking your professors too, if they have any feedback about it as well. Okay, but today, if you are looking for something to wear, today, September 12th, today from 4 to 7 p.m. at Lakewood Mall at JCPenney, we are having our Suit Up event. And so this is where students, staff, and faculty, you can get up to 45% off of select career wear, shoes, and accessories. So basically, this is almost like half off for, business attire. And also for students, you can bring your friends and family too, and they can also shop and get the discount as well. Um, and so I really do recommend the event. I think this is a great discount. And I think it's nice kind of like shopping alongside like other students too. And so yes, that is happening today. And so just make sure to keep this in mind if you are interested. All right. And so this event will be happening after the career fair, but we also do have a career club coming up on Tuesday, October 8th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And more details will be released about it later. But this is where you can receive free, gently used business attire and accessories that have been donated by campus members, other members of like our Long Beach community. And so again, we do have some different events happening just to really help you, I think, with accessibility to, business attire as well. Okay, and so now when we're looking at, navigating during the career fair here. Okay, so the job fair, it can feel overwhelming and confusing, and there's a lot going on. Who do I talk to? Where's the line? Oh my gosh, I need water. What do I do? Oh, you can always take a pause, maybe just kind of take a quick walk around the table, see how it's going. You can even just kind of listen in on what people are talking about. You can just kind of stand on to the side for different tables, or while you're waiting. And you can always take a step outside as well of the job fair. If you just need to kind of collect yourself, take a few breaths, everyone will be given a wristband. And so that shows to us like you've checked in already and that you can go in and out, especially like if you have a class you need to go to, but you need to come back to the job fair later, then you can come in and out of the fair there. So again, it'll be in the USU ballrooms. And so just to show some pictures, and so it's going to be like the area that is kind of right next to the coffee bean, and you're going to see, Career Center staff and signs. And so we'll be able to help direct you into the correct line. And so just to show some pictures here. And again, you'll be given those wristbands to wear. Please make sure to keep that on, especially if you want to come back into the fair. And you'll also be given name tags as well, too. And again, I know for a question earlier, will the company information be there? Yes, we'll have a full list of the companies that are here, as well as what position titles they are recruiting for as well. And so during the fair, so definitely I would recommend being punctual. So I do feel like it's helpful to arrive early. Again, just so you can start lining up, and you can also have time for like the photo booth as well too. And again, just making sure that you're managing your expectations as well, where not every employer is going to be the same. Some may be more outgoing and energetic. Some may be very straightforward. What experiences do you have? What are you looking for? And again, they may have different processes and ways of like interviewing or following up with you if they are interested. And so again, just keeping that in mind and, just again, I would say just keeping an open mind and being flexible there. And I do recommend you can try to visit the tables that have smaller crowds first. And so, for example, instead of just getting right in line to talk to the employer, as long as you're not interrupting the employer and the student, you can just pick up some materials, go off to the side, um, whatever you're comfortable with there. And so, again, like what I said before, writing down notes and key points from employers just to help you keep track. And I would recommend not saying that you'll take any job, because when you say that, it could indicate to the employer that you don't really have a sense of direction, that you don't have a specific goal here, that, you're just, on one hand, like, yes, it does show flexibility, but again, I think it's nice to make sure that you do have a specific goal. This is what you want to do. This is how the company can help with that. And this is how you can move forward in that way. I do recommend staying off your cell phone. You don't want to just, kind of be seen being on that like the entire time while you're at the fair there. And also take initiative as well. Again, especially if you're like, oh, where does the line start? I don't know what to do. Just asking, again, oh, is the back of the line here? Oh, are you lining up for this company or that one? Okay, I'll go here then. And also just really maintaining that positive professional attitude, because keep in mind, again, it can get hectic sometimes. And, let's say you're like, oh, I need to see this employer. I'm just going to cut in front of this person. Another employer might see that, and you might try to talk to them later, and they might keep that in mind. And so, yeah, again, just really make sure to stay professional throughout, and also be prepared for questions, of course, that they may ask you, about your interests. What do you know about the company? And so I do recommend for your resume to give it to them at the end of the conversation, because if you give it to them at the beginning, it could be seen as, here you go, like a little forward. And so because you want to have the conversation first, you want them to get to know you. And after that conversation, you have highlighted, these are my qualifications, and this is why, I'm applying for you. And then you have the resume at the end to kind of recap what you talked about there. And for representatives, they're going to have a lot of freebies on the tables, which I have taken many of before. And so definitely ask for like, business cards. They may have like handouts or brochures. Be careful with taking freebies. It's fine to take them, but you don't want to kind of take so many where it feels like you're only here for the kind of like giveaways, like for the goodies. And then also, make sure that you're networking with other students and campus members. This is an engineering technology career fair. Like this is a great way to really get to know a lot of people, especially while you're waiting in line as well. And then also for employer expectations, they expect, again, ideally professional attire. And so again, just make do with what you can, based on like your schedule for the day, what you have, currently, for clothing. And then of course that professional resume, good communication skills, eye contact, very important, shows confidence as well, being engaged, a clear employment objective. Because again, if you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking for, then they're like, okay, so then are you looking for this? You're like, I'm open. But it's like, are you really looking for it then? And then also, really, what do you have to offer the company? How can you help them, again, with their growth and their continuous development here, for their team? So now, when we're looking at after the job fair, so Firstly, I think it's really great to organize that research, from the notes you took down, just so you don't lose it, put it into an Excel sheet, into a table like this, where you can bring up the talking points you covered, as well as, what the job description is too, for your own records there. And then, of course, you did it. You made it through. And so really just reflect on your experience. Like, what did you do well with? What do you want to improve on? How do you feel like, your networking skills went? And also, we will have a job fair survey that we'll be sending out. And we really appreciate just, again, getting feedback for how we can keep improving our events. And then definitely follow up with those company representatives. So I'd recommend sending individual, not kind of sending a batch email, individualized thank you emails within 24 hours. I recommend on that same day. And in case you're like, oh, I didn't get their contact, then you can look at the employer information and career link under that employers tab there. And in that email, I think it's really key to mention something specific you spoke about with the employer because they're going to be getting a lot of thank you emails. And so you want to kind of make sure that they remember you in your conversation. And then, for next steps, you can just follow whatever instructions the representative gave you in terms of applying, or, like, oh, go to our website, or just send me an email and I'll connect with you. And, I do recommend, updating your resume as well, especially if the employer does give you feedback about your resume. And this way you can keep improving, for future applications. And for LinkedIn, I think it's great to also keep connected with employers and recruiters. And so you can definitely reach out to connect to them there. And I always think it's great when you met someone in person already and you connect with them on LinkedIn, you can add like a personal note. And so again, it's kind of bringing up that something specific, like, oh, we met at the, CSOB career fair. I spoke with you about, again, those internships in Northern California and da 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 da. And so just having that personal note there. But again, I do recommend before you reach out, make sure that your profile is relatively up to date versus like there's no profile picture, there's no about section, or else it just feels, yeah, it doesn't feel, very, very, up to date there in general. Okay, so this is an example here of a thank you email. And so, dear so-and-so, I hope this finds you well. I want to thank you for your time with taking the time to speak with me. It says yesterday, I do recommend today. And then I appreciated learning more about the company, the projects you're working on. And this is where we bring up that specific point, especially the innovative applications of sustainable energy solutions we discussed. And then after that, we do see in the next paragraph, I'll be submitting the application to your company website for your direction. So we're following that next step that the employer gave you there. And then just thank you for your time. Best, I need a job. And so again, a thank you email should just be kind of more short and sweet there. That's what I'd recommend. All right. And so now to end off the presentation, and then we'll get into some questions after for resources. And so you can go to our website, csulb.edu/career development center, and you will see to get to job fairs, you'll see at the top, you'll see you'll see students and click on that, and then click on events and workshops. And then you can click on job fairs, and there should be a making the most of the job fair handout, which has a lot of really good information too. Tips for before, during, and after, the job fair. And then I also do want to highlight, so we have two companies who are hosting information sessions literally right after the job there, like on that same day. So we have Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. They're going to be on USU 204 from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And then we have for the Naval Air Systems Command in USU 205 from 5 to 6 p.m. And so again, these are going to be spaces where the employers will be talking more about their companies, and also spaces where employers can ask or students can ask questions as well. So just to keep this in mind, if these were companies that you were interested in or would be, interested in exploring more there. And then also for Career Center events in general, we have, employer panels, we have on-campus interviews, we have industry spotlights. And so again, I recommend, on our CDC page under that students and events and workshop page that you can, keep up to date about, what events we have coming up, especially where you can actually interact and engage with employers there. And also we do have, some support for, especially for those resume reviews. We have drop-in advising every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 3 p.m., Zoom or in person here at the Career Center. These are 15 to 20-minute sessions. And we also do have counseling appointments, which are longer. But again, because the job fair is next week, it may be difficult to schedule an appointment, but you can check on Beach Connect to see if there is any availability there as well. All right, and so with that, I just want to thank everyone so much for coming. And this recording, we will be uploading it to our YouTube page, and the slides will be sent out in an email, afterwards. And so just thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Let's see, but yes, thank you.